Hello world, hello Zion, it's Prince Easy coming at you again as usual in this fine day that we're having here. And of course, I do have a couple slides that I want to share with you, right? And of course, we're gonna have conversations, right? So before we go anywhere or we proceed into anything, I need one thing to be understood. Okay, I need one thing to be understood clearly, and that thing is the world has not changed. Okay, the world has not changed, right? We can talk about change in a sense that what was once hidden now is out in the open, more like that. Okay, more like what was hidden is now open. That is the only difference I'm seeing now, right? So last year it was more like the tariffs will make them bow down. This year is more like the threat of war will make them bow down. So again, the world has not changed. Fundamentally, it is the same. And the principle is simple. The one with the might gets to have everything. It is unfortunate, but it is the reality. I personally do not accept that reality. I don't know about you. And there I think lies the problem. To some individuals, this world system is highly lucrative to them. And to others, like I say, it represents oppression. So let's get into the slide to see. And of course, before we get to them, I want to issue a disclaimer, right? A fair use copyright disclaimer for all the material that's going to be shown here for the purpose of criticism, commentary, and education. So let's get to them.
It is so interesting how badly Israel up on this. You had these Palestinian ambulances and medical workers driving through the night to get to people in need. And they get ambushed by Israeli soldiers. Israel said, hey, we saw some vehicles driving at night. They didn't have their lights on. They didn't have sirens on. And they were driving very suspiciously, so we took action. They basically killed these people in the vehicles. They dug shallow graves in the sand, and they buried these bodies. But the dumb left the guy's mobile phone in his pocket. And when aid workers went in days later, they found that phone and they found that footage. The footage clearly shows the sirens were on. You can hear them identifying themselves, and you can hear this paramedic saying, there's no God but Allah, and the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. He's making his shahada as he's ready to meet his creator, and that's exactly what happened. Him and all of his colleagues are shot dead in what is believed to be execution style. Israel clearly lied. Yet the media say Israel appears to have made a mistake. Appears to have? They did. Mistake? A mistake is dropping a cup of water. This is a crime. The actual headline is Israel lied about war crime. We would never know about that story if it wasn't for that paramedic's mobile phone buried in a shallow grave. One mobile phone gave us access to the biggest story of 2025.
So I'm just here to show you what is happening, right? And the state of the world, right? So this is what is the West, the Western America are busy, right? France, UK, they have the money right? Some of them don't even have a budget, but they do have money to make war. You can count on that. Okay? What is this compel nonsense that you're talking about? I'm not gonna repeat myself, you know? You see, these people, they believe in magic, and part of this magic of theirs is to actually publicly say what they're gonna do. And they have publicly wished harm on Russia, on Iran, on China, on North Korea. And they are actively, right? This time last year, if I'm not mistaken, around this time, remember there was the North Koreans were blowing up tunnels, train tunnels, if I'm not mistaken. Right? It's like a script and it's repeating itself over and over and over, right? I might be mistaken on the timeline, but something tells me it. And most crucially, they are actively, right? They are actively pursuing, right? The very least they're hoping for is to get rid of the leaders of China, North Korea, and Russia. And what do you think that will lead to? That is the least. The very best is a whole-out war. But they rather be surgical, as they say. Right? And my guy here, he's talking more and more with there's somebody backing him up. So Trump gave a warning. If somebody was shot in Iran, he would intervene. The Sun is reporting, moment Iranian forces fire at protesters as regime threatens Trump over warning. So what is gonna happen? Now I'm gonna show you even more. So more and more people playing politics. The Constitution of Venezuela recognizes her to be the successor during this time. You don't need you personally to recognize nothing. Your own people did this, like I said. Elon Musk, and I saw some pictures having dinner with Trump and wife. What do you think they are strategizing about? Because they let it go public for a reason. Of course, he's active, trying to carry that momentum, right? Because it comes in waves, right? Like an adrenaline rush, And they're all having it right now. They're high. Excuse them. Huh? This is what she said, right? But I'm waiting for them to address the traitors from within. That's what I'm waiting for them to do. And if they do not, then they are part of it. As some have speculated that the intelligence over there connected with the CIA. So they say they use more than 150 aircraft to storm 20 bases in Venezuela. Okay, this is what they say, right? From bombers, fighters, and choppers. Okay, and of course we're gonna have that old talk that we usually have here, right? But I am open and I'm fine with being seen as the villain for the moment. That's how it has always been, right? Guess who brought me to this table here? Critics. Okay, critics. So I love them. This is showing that you know what, Vladimir Putin is very, very desperate, right? At least now we can speculate where the inflatables that were caught in the AES came from. Again, speculate. Again, speculation being thrown out. Of course, everybody catching strays. Now Moscow is catching strays. Again, momentum.
Sasa hivi tunajenga mahoteli kwenye ile milima yote unayofahamu Serengeti. Sasa ukifika usiku ni kama uko Ngalimiteli unaangalia Arusha kwa juu. Haki ya Mungu nakwambia. Tena ndo hawa investor ambao nilikuwa nakwambia. Na ukiangalia hatupati hela saa nyingine na kumegea kitu kingine hicho kwa sababu makampuni makubwa ambayo yanapewa maeneo yafungue na yanayoendesha makampuni makubwa. Akaunti zao ziko Ulaya. Hapo wanatumaga hela za operation. Na ndio hizo kodi TRA wanapambana nazo. Lakini ile pesa ambayo inatakiwa ituhusu sisi kama nchi ya hizi investment tunazoziona hatupati hata ndururu. You understand? Nani atasimama sasa? Hata Chacha aliongelea kitu anasema hela nyingi inatoka kwa utalii na rudi kule kwao. Lakini I believe vitu kama change of policy na watu kama nyinyi mkiongea mnaweza mkao.
Nasikia.
What would you assume is the most
like I said, right? I know they are gonna come after me because they have said it in many, many movies. I might just say all movies ever that came out of Hollywood. And they have done exactly, right? So when I tell you, it's not a joke. Now listen to this whole conversation here.
Major threat on the world stage. Anybody, just call it out. You don't have to raise your hand.
Definitely Russia.
Definitely Russia. It's confident. I like it. Who says Russia? Anybody agree with her? Hands? Okay. Great. Who else? China. Stop yelling at me, but China is a good answer. Anybody? Who else? China?
North Korea?
North Korea. Any North Korea takers? And Venezuela? Anybody? No? Oh, yeah. One guy in the back. A little worried about Venezuela. Everybody's cool with Venezuela? No threat? Okay. Let me ask you this. Which one of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposit on the planet? More than Saudi? More than Iran? Wow. Okay, what about things like gold? More than all the mines in Africa combined? The fact is that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. So, why is this country in the midst of one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history? Let's meet President.
They are planting the seeds. You are watching it live. Planting the seeds. Okay? Just like what I told you in that whole Fantastic Four movie and the Galactus, and they were planting seeds. Okay?
Nicholas Reyes, after rising to power...
They're not wasting time, right? Even this Avatar movie, right? It has made like 7-something million, you know? Why would they let such a predictably successful movie go to waste without using it for mass programming, right? Of unfathomable degrees, right? First week, more than 700 million. You know how many people are those? I know, of course, that I'm gonna take out like, I don't know, fake 200 million, right? Just off the top, right? 500 million still, right? I've just taken out 200 million in the first week, and still the numbers, if we quantify them to people and people who have seen and have been subconsciously programmed, it is a scary number. Okay, it becomes a scary number. Right now, it's your job to figure out what are they trying to tell you. I've just given you a clue.
On a wave of nationalist pride, in a mere 6 years, this guy has crippled the national economy by half. He has raised the poverty rate by almost 4. It's made President Nicholas Reyes, after rising to power on a wave of nationalist pride, in a mere 6 years, this guy has crippled the national economy by half. He has raised the poverty rate by almost 400%. Luckily for the rest of us, he's up for re-election. So, who's running against him? This is Gloria Benalde. Now, Gloria is a history professor turned activist. She's running against him on a social justice platform and on the strength of, in my humble opinion, just not being an asshole. Analyst predictions, as of today, have the chances of Venezuela's total economic collapse at 87%. On the news, they'll call it a crisis.
What is missing? The sanctions.
But on the world stage, they'll call it a failed state. You've never heard that term. Other examples of a failed state in recent history are Yemen.
Americans and Europeans did that.
Iraq.
Americans and Europeans did that.
Syria.
Americans and Europeans did that.
If that's not bad enough news for you, well, Venezuela is also the only one.
America and Europe also did that.
These places within 30-minute range from the U.S.
That's what's important to them. 30-minute range from the U.S.
Next-gen nuclear missiles.
Right? Next-gen nuclear missiles. What they're speculating, or why they are doing this, is because they are afraid that China or Russia or Iran might deploy tactical weapons that would take 30 minutes to hit them, as per the movie. How about the Cuba Missile Crisis? Wasn't, again, life that you're seeing right now in public, it's all a spectacle. It's all symbolic. You are not meant to understand it nor see it. You are just meant to only see the facade, right? Now I am digging deeper to that facade, so as you can see things clearly for what they are, not what they could be or what they should be. Okay? What they are. Okay?
You will not hear about any of this on the news because the biggest players on the world stage do not want you to. To them, unstable governments...
Again, this whole thing is, that whole statement is confusing, right? They say the controllers of the world do not want to know you. You are not going to see it in the news. They are the news for freaking, right? This guy here is running game on his on his own CIA student. Like, seriously. Is he trying to find out like who is stupid and who is intelligent? Like that right? Just that one guy who raised his hand when he said Venezuela is a threat, eh? The only guy who's supposed to pass, right?
Are nothing more than the greatest of opportunities. So, Russia, China, can never be the most major threat until countries like Venezuela leave the door open to our very own backyard. What would you assume?
Venezuela is the backyard of America. It's not a sovereign nation, no. It is a backyard, right? And these are the seeds that they are planting worldwide, okay? They are doing a good job. So that's why you hear Africans talking this nonsense, right? Because they saw this guy, right? He is, I think this movie is Jack Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. Something Jack, right? Glorifying the CIA, right? They are breaking all type of laws. Like, you go, just take the first, the whole gimmick of the movie is breaking the law and saying sorry later, basically. Jack Reacher, I think that's the name of the series, right? I've seen so many of these. They're all the same at this point, right? And African children are being programmed to be scared of the fantastic CIA, to be basically weakened in their mind, right? By basically being shown unrealistic things, all things that they will never even encounter in their lives, right? And they don't even understand, like, that it's not the world standard of capabilities, right? My goodness. It is what it is, but I'm just here to show you stuff, right? So the seeds for them doing what they did, it started a long time ago. Okay?
Of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. They've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle.
Again, this is another mistake. 60% of the discovered lithium deposits are located there. That is the most accurate. Okay.
Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest.
How many nations? Argentina, Bolivia, Chile.
Oil reserves. Light sweet crude discovered off of Guyana over a year ago.
Guyana, of course, we covered what happened in Guyana, right? They had that president with the glasses and the melanated skin talking large after a whole war was about to start. I don't know what happened or what happened to that. But
you have Venezuela's resources as well with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too.
Brazil, right? That's where the Amazon is, right? So they need that fresh water. Why? Because they know something is coming. That's why they need to source their water from.
I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters.
They have a lot to do, they say.
It has a lot to do with national security.
It has a lot to do with their national security.
And we need to step up our game.
This is them stepping up their game, while your game remained the same. Petty, right? Petty, basically. That's what most third world or global south economy, or rather countries, you can frame them as that, petty. People are petty. They are not. They do not really love each other, and people might excuse that to poverty. I say it's just being spineless, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are lacking the bigger picture, you'll be a casualty too, right? So then how are you self-sabotaging and saying that you're protecting your own interests? It's a stupid statement overall. I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying. And that's what happened in Venezuela. These traitors actually believe that they're going to benefit. They actually believe that they're going to be, I don't know, equals or have a share, a long term. They're going to be good. They're going to be settled. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Why? Because of this. Okay? Look, I said I am willing to be the bad guy here. Okay? As usual. Right? And I know it's for the moment until everything becomes obvious, right? But this is a joke. This is a joke. Like I've said many times for years, that this is a joke. Right? You need to redo the world order, then make alliances outside of this whole ordeal. Right? This whole institution here is telling us the obvious. That's why it cannot be helpful. It's telling us countries are not supposed to invade. We all know this. But what are they going to do about it? Are they going to send peacekeepers to Venezuela to do what exactly? Does this meeting here have the potential to have a resolution that would benefit the Venezuelan people in any way or form? No, we know it, you know it. So then, are you acting for whose, or are you just making your opinions heard? Is that it? Because I've been saying this is a joke. That if you want to have a truly United Nations, it has to be a united nation. Right? But again, people are trying to fit into the United Nation rather than the United Nation fitting the purpose, fitting it into its purpose. And that is to unite. And it has not done that. Complete failure. But people are still in denial. Because again, some of them are naively thinking like, okay, now if this collapses, what is left? So again, I agree. UN no longer matters. So Katie here thought it was cute to post this. Okay? Now, is Canada and Greenland, right? The people who were approached, they were courted last year. What do you think is going to happen? Now, I like the show. I like the show. Right? This is like seeing the book that you have read come into real life, like. Right? This is what movies have been to me. It's like a book I've read. Right? That's the movie I've watched. and the real life just playing out right in front of me, It's exciting. Why? Because I know the ending. I read the book. Hmm? Okay. This is what they are saying. Okay? They use spies, drones, and blowtorches, right? On top of the 150 or something. Right? So let's read. Right? Remember, yesterday somebody told us that Maduro was illegitimate. Right? Let's see. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leaders. President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Another very, very important they're skipping, right? And this law enforcement, by the accusation, that would be the DEA, isn't it? Right? So the U.S. Army and the law enforcement, right? I don't know if it has mandate to operate internationally. I don't know, right? But they did, apparently. Details to follow. There will be a news conference at 11 a.m. at his house. Moving on. They have sanctioned the UN blockade and now stripping licenses, just doing whatever they can and they want, basically. And what does the UN do about it? What does the UN do? China, in that maneuver to drop the food from the aircraft, that was what is required, and that was what has always been required and had to be done. But everything else, weak at the very best. Hey, don't miss, okay? The jig was up. Hmm? Look at him. Look at them. All the same people. Look at them, brothers and sisters. Look at the work that these people have done on the world. These gods in Hollywood. Look at this. They are all into cults of personalities. They are not really looking at their interests, are they? Yeah, they're distracted, right? Like politics now is the new, or democracy is the new like religion of to enslave them. Yeah, it's effective, Hmm? Now they don't attack your country. They just sanction it and it collapses within. Yeah. This is why this split has happened. One people see things clearly, and the other people are delusional, right? They do believe that when the new regime comes here, and we get a new people, and we will have a good relation, and we will prosper. Like, please mention one partner of America that is prospering. not an invasion. Okay? Not an invasion, so it did not need the approval. More than 150 fighter choppers, aircraft, bombers, boots on ground, just like Trump said. So, bro, please, right? You bombed your relatives, so please, especially you, okay? So what is this about? Isn't this an invasion? Hmm? Spain did not recognize the Maduro regime. You are irrelevant. You are irrelevant, right? But again, a colonial power, so I'm not surprised. But neither will it recognize an intervention that violates international. So you not recognizing a leader of another sovereign nation is not breaking international law. This is the hypocrisy that I've been talking about, you know, and pushes the region towards a horizon of uncertainty and belligerence. Wow. We call on all actors to think of the civilian population, to respect the United Nations Charter, and to articulate a fair and dialogue transition. Wow. I can't, sometimes, I can't. Okay? So, again, we're going to have some couple of statements here. Trump did not set any time limit for American governments of Venezuela. Decisions on whether to return the country under Venezuela control will be made by the United States. I don't know. Let's be politically correct. Venezuela now is a protectorate. Under protectorate, just like Tanzania was. As for oil, he said American companies will repair the infrastructure and start making money for the country. Wow, so kind. Undoubtedly, the military presence is important to us, and undoubtedly, not everyone is ready for this. I don't know who, but the presence is one of the important factors, and even the existence of a coalition of the willing depends on whether they are ready to step up their presence, Zelensky said. Right? You see how smoothly that transitioned? You even thought I was talking about the same thing, right? Right? Just so smooth, buttery smooth, Zelensky emphasized that the final number of countries that will send troops to Ukraine will become clear only after the ratification process begins. The UK and France are the chairs of the coalition of the willing. The military presence is mandatory, Zelensky emphasized. EU von der Leyen echoes Elon's calls for tough stance on Chinese overcapacity. Right? Again, the East and basically the East in general, America and Europe, they're on the same boat. Especially when it comes to China, they're on the same boat. They're not in disagreement at all. Right? That makes you think, about Russia, what is going on over there and the promises that are being made. And I'm interested to know what satellite, whose, most important, whose satellite was used to coordinate the assassination attempt. Do you know what overcapacity means? They cannot compete. In any respect, they cannot compete. The speed of production, price, volume, in any respect, right? And this is not a call to combat China, but rather to make it harder for Europeans to deal with China. How do they do it? Well, look at Russia. Sanction, 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 right? And it's even worse for the Russians. Why? Because for a moment, they were spoiled. They were spoiled by Western luxuries, right? The McDonald's, the fast food, the coffee, right? And when the sanctions hit, they became uncomfortable, right? And there is where it starts. That's the anchor right there. And they can exacerbate this, and this, and this, and then boom, we have what is happening in Iran. They don't talk about the sanctions and how they have made it impossible for the government to do its job. It's the same thing with Venezuela. It's the same thing in Cuba. They don't talk about it. Why? Because it is a weapon. Okay? So they are hoping if this continues, this goes on and on and on, that they will have turmoil. Like in Iran. Like in Venezuela right now, two groups split. And in China, they're gonna do the same thing to bring back the business back to their continent, if you can even call it that, right? You people do know that Europe is not a continent, right? Geographically speaking. It is Western Asia. Okay? So all of these quote-unquote sanction packages, they're proven and tried techniques that they have used over the years, right? And I have to say this one thing that I think I have said it before. Being moral in a war it all depends on the enemy that you're fighting. And the enemy that you are fighting makes your morals seem as a vulnerability, and they have become a vulnerability. Your unwillingness, right? Your unwillingness to push it as far as they do becomes a vulnerability, right? Like I've said before in a video, right? They have systematically, for the past 4 years now, they have systematically controlled the level of escalation. Just imagine, they have pumped billions into Ukraine and they have suffered no consequence. Not even a bullet fell on their soil. Okay? But they have paid money to kill the Russians. That is just the reality. It's not a analysis or nothing. No, that is just clear and open statement. That's what they have done. Even with the nuclear rhetoric, even with now counting the second, right, apart from the all bio weaponry and stuff that I've seen, openly attempt on Putin. Right? This guy is just out here making videos and lying to the public, you know, just bold. I would not fight war like this. Nah, if it went on, and these are decisions that we are talking about right now, right? And how far we have, how far things have basically come. This war needs to be fought very different now. That's just the reality. If not, then your decision will become a vulnerability. Priority is protect the Russian people, protect the Chinese people, protect the North Korean people, respectively. Right? These people keep pumping bombs. You know, I would not take that, bruh. Do you think America would accept just with the $100 billion of weaponry sent to Taiwan? Just imagine China did the same thing in Cuba. What would happen? And somehow it is not a sign of weakness from your part, brothers and sisters. Like, come on now. It is. And it has become. And these people are arrogant, and which does not even, right? That makes them even blind to the sense, right? I understand why the war has gone at the pace that it has gone. Right? But what is more important? This is combat. You have to control your opponent. That's the whole point. To subdue your opponent. And do it in less moves than necessary. That is the doctrine that needs to be adapted now. Like, seriously. The only counter to this whole ordeal right? Like this is a kind diplomatic stance, right? For China and Russia, for these arrogant people to not assume and paint that you are weak. You have to start posting missiles and nuclear weapons in other people's country. What will that cause? Again, these people are arrogant. They will do the same. So even that, it won't be enough. So what is left? What is left? Okay, I know the character of these people, right? These rulers of the world. I know them very well by their character and their behavior. And trust me, they are relentless. Okay, they are relentless. So this is another suspicious thing I saw. I know that what is gonna follow after this is just abuse of the migrants. That's my only sane thing that I can come up for them doing this. Is that they're gonna capture these people and they're gonna abuse them. And they don't want that whole thing to be captured. Why? Maybe to break the ring that is smuggling them. Even that, how long will that take? The only solution to this is stop attacking other people's countries. But hey, we have had this conversation a long time ago. Don't listen. Hmm? They don't call it abducting, they call it capturing, right? They are the police of the world. Hmm? They have appointed themselves, right? They don't need no UN, nothing. Meanwhile, because it is expensive to do business elsewhere, and if it is expensive to do business there, then people cannot afford the product that is being produced. It's simple mathematics, really. Now, I don't know why people are not taking full opportunities of the potential of the China's industry to actually, you know what? It has become a disease, right? These people do not really think about the customers, right? Even this here, right? You might think that they say this because they love and care for their consumers, right? Which are also their citizens. They don't. This is about a small group of people whose interests are being interfered with by China. So what do? Send weapons to Taiwan, blow up a couple China's industry. Maybe we'll be able to compete with them. Wow, look at that. They done solved the 31 Atlas spaceship. They say no alien tech found, right? That's disappointing. Eh? Yeah, you better have a robust security team. And the suicide vest started. Now, right? Again, the Israelis have pointed at Turkey to be one of their enemy. What is Turkey to do about the capture of Maduro? If his own men, his own countrymen, So, Traore was famous yesterday in Tanzania, right? Not that Traore. A referee called Traore, right? One thing is important. They make it about the cup and the prestige, right? We should pursue other things, right? And that is none of these things, right? So looking for respect, right? And these things, they cannot be sold, right? They are given willingly, right? And trust me, in Africa, in the football sphere, we are respected. We are not the wealthiest, we are not the excellent of players, but our passion is respected. So again, we did win. That's why this is not even the first time I have seen this type of politics interfere in football. I called it out the last time it happened, that it is obviously sabotage. It is obviously sabotage. 2 times, right? They denied us a penalty, obviously, right? Just like the last time the guy refused to even visit the VAR, didn't they? And last time I said, football and politics are now intertwined. It's no longer about football. Okay? So, in order to keep our spirits up and keep the spirit of competition up, adapt. Move to requesting friendly matches with anybody, anywhere, willing. And of course, boost and promote our own internal leagues, right? We have gotten what we have wanted out of Africa, right? If they have to intervene in order to deter us, then it's game over. You know, we have to move on to bigger and better things, right? Am I seeing this must be a military target? It has to be, right? They said there were no casualties. I didn't understand. Maybe they were talking about them, right? He said one aircraft was shot, but it made it back. It was a chopper, if I was not mistaken. But this seems like a legit military target. They can do these things. The Ukrainians can do these things. They have proven that they have the balls to do these things. The last time they did it was in Chechnya, right? No, or Russia. Can't even tell anymore. So how do you deter such a enemy, right? You are fighting, and it's like you are in a ring, right? Let's imagine you are 2 boxers in a ring, right? You fight, maybe you punch your opponent somewhere sensitive, right? Not by purpose or intention, but that punch makes your enemy lose their mind, right? It makes them lose their mind and get overcome with rage, and they start throwing unorthodox punches. When the referee intervenes, they get punched, they start kicking, they start throwing stuff. That's not boxing anymore. Okay, like this here is not war. Okay, you rightly named it terrorism. Okay, and the problem is not finding the ones responsible, but rather to deter this, right? The people who are behind this, to make them think twice. Like, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe we should stick to military targets. What do you think would be the equivalent response? That's why I said Moro. Moro is like a post of concrete in the middle of a battlefield, right? Your enemy is dynamic, right? Your enemy is dynamic. You know, you are hard, you are immovable, you are solid on your ground, but your enemy has mobility, and that mobility, it is dangerous for you. So you would think this is what I want to ask Africa, right? If you know for a fact, right, that if you elect a righteous leader, they will kill him, and those who survive are those who are partially compromised or completely compromised. So I'm asking you again, Africa, what the hell do you want? Like Tanzanians, for instance, what the actual hell do you want? If you know for a fact, if you elect a leader that will do everything that you do, it will be directly opposed to the international. Maybe they don't know that. Maybe they don't. Perhaps. I'm just assuming. But I know for a fact everybody does know the exploitative nature of the Western America. So then, I ask you, what the hell do you want? You want people to come up and to be killed? Is that how you figure progress should look like? Again, that is that disease of hypocrisy, right? That disease of hypocrisy. Big problem. They do not want to face the fact. They don't. So what do? They remain delusional, right? This delusion is sweet and it gives them hope, you know? Maybe in Venezuela they were told, when we lift the sanctions, it will be great, you know? Just like now, where the US is telling Russia, you know, we could improve our relationship, you know, but our relationship is in a stumbling block, is facing a stumbling block. Just enticing them with American businesses. And to be honest, they do need that business. Just like the US needs Russia's business and industries. But this is not about that. This is about having it all. It's not that they can't go over there in Burkina Faso and say, you know what, we are sorry, let's restart this. And of course, we are going to pay for supplier with uranium. Here's the money. If they have money to launch operations in Syria, they do have money, right? Maybe it's from the Jewish lobby, but it's still money, okay? So, above, Maduro's son, right? Below, he needs Greenland. He said it before. Do not say that you were not told. Do not. And start complaining to us here. We are here every day covering this nonsense. That you have to prepare accordingly. No matter how they come, you prepare accordingly for that eventuality. That's what your response should be. And he knows that his father was betrayed. This has nothing to do with the might of America. No. They couldn't have done that. Do you know how loud a chopper is? Do you know how the oldest raider could take those aircraft down? A guy with an RPG, right? Later on a manpad, right? The modern ones, right? From either one. Might be the Javelin or something from Russia, the Hornet or something. All of those choppers would be downed. For crying out loud, a machine gun would be enough. And they call it an invasion. Please. Just embarrassing yourself out here. Now this is what they are talking about. This is their mouthpiece, the sun. This is their mouthpiece. okay? So don't tell us, oh, I did not have preemptive capability strikes, or I did not have the chance, not the time, or I was surprised, I was shook, just like the last time the Israelis surprised you. What were you doing? Like, at least say we saw them and we couldn't take them down, but it was a surprise. Like what? A jet? This world is a funny place. Let me tell you that. Right? And now people are talking now, right? Because of the inactions of the Russians and the Chinese. They're saying maybe there's an under the table deal that these people have made to basically have their own sphere of influence, you know, so they split up the world, just basically another Berlin conference, but like on a world scale. Terrible idea. That's what people said. I'm just here to give it as I say it, you know. As I say it, I'm gonna give it. I don't believe so. I've not seen proof of such things. Okay? But that's what is being talked about. Why? Because of the big talk prior to this whole ordeal here. The day before, they were talking to the Chinese about what? I don't know. And now remind me, how is China to protect its interests? Or rather, its access to the market, right? Because this is what is at stake here. There are some people who want to consolidate the market and keep it for themselves. That is what basically the division of spheres of influence that these people are basically talking about, right? Made it a whole national policy that we are going to focus on the Western Hemisphere. Okay. Can we even call it Cynthia? We cannot. Right? Just another Israelite prince pretender. You know? Just like that Wakanda prince wherever. She's a man too. What the fuck is Denmark gonna do? They're going back a lot. The recent, right? Apparently they had a whole congregation over there of Christians, right? Who they pay for. And they are talking about things that, you know, why I brought it up. You know, I have no problem. I know they even exist here in Tanzania, right? The most popular ones are Zionists. They are Zionists. They have to be, openly. Why? Magic. And their plan is exactly that. Has a spiritual angle. Okay? So he claims he wants to protect, while that's the image below from Gaza. During the Trump meeting, he said one thing very crucial. I don't know if people were paying attention. He said he wants to create an international alliance to protect Christians. Okay, basically he is automatically involved, right? Now it's the Jews and the Christians forming an alliance to protect themselves internationally, okay? Now, they're gonna do it, they're doing it. All you have to do, ramp up everybody who is connected to these people has to have eyes on. Spy the hell out of them. And when they make a misstep, be right there to take them down like the dogs they are. Mamdani, not hearing anything from them. Maybe that's the US agencies they were talking about. Right? I was right, DEA. Movies. Seen them a lot in movies, right? They are the good guys. They are never dealing drugs. They show you though they were dealing drugs. You know, that one movie with, who do they call him? The Top Gun guy, right? He was acting as a CIA asset, moving stuff to the guy, the biggest narco trader in, I don't remember his name, Pablo Escobar, right? They tell you that it was a CIA operation. And actually there is where the whole crisis started. And now the CIA is running the same. Do you see how this works? I hope these people who are collaborating with these people are, I don't know, learning the pattern of behavior in order to predict what is gonna come, that's what is gonna become of them in the future if they continue like this. Anyway, who am I? What do I know? Anyway, I didn't want to go this long. I can go longer, but hey, I usually don't want my videos to proceed and to be longer than an hour, right? So anyway, it's General Easy signing out. Love you. Be dangerous. The world is dangerous. Welcome to the real. Bye.